So the US government, the US Senate today had a hearing talking about cryptocurrencies, talking about Bitcoin, stuff like that, kind of how to regulate it, how to classify it. Got a pretty interesting little snippet from the CFTC chairman we're going to show you in this video, so stay tuned.
Bitcoin, or are these as currently being traded, are they a commodity, or are they a security, or are they both?
So the big question obviously a lot of people have in the government and kind of in the financial world is Bitcoin a commodity? Is it a trading vehicle? You know, what is Bitcoin? A lot of people out there don't understand what Bitcoin is. So that's kind of the big question right now for regulators, for the government here in the US. And you can see here the CFTC chairman talking about what he thinks Bitcoin is.
What's so challenging about Bitcoin is it has characteristics of multiple different things. One of the phrases that's often used is that Bitcoin is a medium of exchange, a store of value, or a means of account. Well, those three things have different connotations to them. If it's a medium of exchange, then it's like a currency-like instrument. And yet, as we've seen, a number of means of exchanges have been closed to Bitcoin. There was recently a Bitcoin conference that stopped accepting Bitcoin for registrants because they couldn't process the payments.
So the CFTC, the chairman's talking about how Bitcoin is a means of transferring funds back and forth, a digital currency in sense, but you can see he keeps talking about it here, and it gets pretty interesting.
And in that case, it has implications from the Fed and currency. From our point of view, when it's used as a store of value, then it's very much like an asset, like a commodity. And in fact, what we hear a lot of is people buying and holding. If you go on to the Twitter universe, you'll see a phrase HODL, which means hold on for dear life. And the thinking is that they buy it and hold it. In fact, I mentioned in my opening remarks my 30-year-old niece who bought Bitcoin years ago, and she's an HODL. She says, I'm going to own it. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I want to hang on to it. And she's not a fraudster or a manipulator. She's just a kid and believes in it. And you know, I was fascinated talking to her. And I think she represents a lot of folks that think there's something in this, I want to hold on to it. And so in that regard, from our point of view, it's a commodity. And if there's a derivative on that, we regulate it. The problem is, in the cash market, we don't have regulatory authority, means we can't set the standards. But what we will do, and we are doing, is looking for fraud and manipulation. And we intend to be very aggressive, if nothing else, so that people like my niece can have some security that there's not fraudsters and manipulators out there, and there are far too many of them.
So the biggest thing the CFTC chairman is talking about how they want to help make it safer. They want to make sure there's not fraud going on, you know, all these ICOs, all this stuff going on. So some of that stuff might get regulated, but it really sounds like from a lot of the guys talking today at the hearing that they are not against Bitcoin. They are just, they're for having, you know, better transparency and then kind of figuring out, you know, how it all plays and how it can be safe. But you know, a lot of people were kind of saying, hey, you know, the government's going to ban Bitcoin. The government hates the idea of Bitcoin. But really, you can hear from him, he's not talking about banning Bitcoin. He's not saying, hey, you know, Bitcoin needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. I think it sounds like really the government is kind of taking a stand. Let's monitor it. Let's learn about it. But also, let's try to help make it safer for people out there and make people more aware of some of the dangers that come with cryptocurrencies and, you know, buying coins and all that stuff. But overall, I think it's a good step forward. So the more awareness there is, the more education there is, obviously it's going to make it easier and easier for larger corporations, for major retailers to really adopt cryptocurrency. You can see a coin like Digibyte makes a lot of sense for, you know, for a restaurant to accept Digibyte because they don't have to pay the fees. It's fast, all that stuff. It's really cool. And as we go into the future, people are also saying, you know, what about the different cryptocurrency swings? You know, cryptocurrencies go up, cryptocurrencies go down. They are so volatile. I really think going into the future, a coin like Digibyte, you know, it really makes sense that this coin kind of just levels off at the, you know, $2-3 area, and that's kind of just the value of it. Maybe it increases a little bit, but overall we'll kind of have this like steady price value. And overall, you know, the big thing is we just need to find some type of stability in the market. Digibyte, Bitcoin, Litecoin, these types of coins are here to stay. Ethereum. So when you really look at the bigger picture, these types of coins really, you know, play an integral part in the overall cryptocurrency world. And it sounds like the government isn't totally against it. So going into the future, we'll see what happens. I think it's a good step forward. And if you guys have any questions or comments, leave a comment below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.